Susan Michelle. Susan Michelle, this mic is all yours.
Hey, it's great to be here as always. And I am Susan Michelle here in Springfield, Massachusetts. I speak here on Pal Talk every Monday and Friday now, which is super exciting. And my book is almost published. It keeps getting better and better as my editor does her magic. It took me 10 years to write, so I put a lot of serious thought into my writing, and I learned a lot during the writing process because we always teach what we learn and learn what we teach. So I am so excited that it is going to be published by the end of this year and out on Amazon, as well as many other distributors. It is entitled Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. And with that being said, I will start out with the paragraph in chapter 2 that was originally suggested to me by Dove. This paragraph is my way of giving my 30 minutes here on Pal Talk, in Pal Talk, to Jesus Christ, the spirit of Christ consciousness. You know, we all have that spirit within us. We all have access to divine wisdom. And actually, we don't have to, what I'm learning today and at this point in this lifetime is I don't have to go anywhere to find that life force. That life force exists in me. The only thing I need to do to connect with it is to stop blocking it. That's why the seminar that I'm working on right now, the workshop, the seminar, it's called, you know, The Simple Truth, How to Get Unblocked, because all great wisdom, all great teachings teach the same thing. You know, the Tao is something that I'm studying right now, as well as A Course in Miracles. I just found this great book by Alan Cohen on Audible. It's called The Tao Made Easy. His last book that I listened to was A Course in Miracles Made Easy. The present book that I'm listening to is called The Tao Made Easy. And, you know, it's interesting because I love Alan Cohen. I've never met Alan Cohen, but I love him anyway because I've been reading his books and I think he is such an incredibly wise, clear teacher. And when I first was looking for a book by Alan Cohen, I just was gravitating to The Course in Miracles Made Easy because I am such a passionate Course in Miracles student. And now, yesterday, actually, I downloaded The Tao Made Easy on Audible and I started listening to it, and I'm realizing that the Tao really isn't any different than A Course in Miracles. It's just saying the same thing in a different way. So I think sometimes in The Course in Miracles Made Easy, he quotes the Tao, I think. What I know is that in the book that I'm listening to now, The Tao Made Easy, he quotes A Course in Miracles, and it says the same thing. It says the same thing in a slightly different way because the truth is the truth. And the truth is only the love is real. And that energy of unconditional love is available to us at each and every moment. The only thing that we need to do to connect to it or to allow it to come into our lives is to not block it. Because that energy of unconditional love is who we are. So just to, as the Bible says, be still and know that I am God, to just be still and know that God's presence is who I am. That's where our power lies. So what I'm learning is that I need to slow down. There's nothing that I need to do to make life happens, to make life happen. Life happens naturally when I just surrender to this incredibly powerful, brilliant energy source. And I am so grateful for that. You know, so actually I will start out this talk. We're 6 minutes into it. However, I will start out now by just asking everyone to be still just for a moment, to allow that energy to come into your consciousness. You can call it Christ energy. You can call it Tao energy. You can call it devil dog energy. I just thought of that because I saw this man today on the reservoir, and he had this devil dogs make me happy t-shirt on, and he looked so happy. You know, God doesn't care what we call him. It's just the energy of unconditional love. We just need to do what we can to keep ourselves plugged in to the energy of unconditional love. I call it the God socket. So on that note, again, I will start with this beautiful paragraph in chapter 2 of A Course in Miracles. And Jesus Christ writes here through Helen Schucman, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So what I am learning is that wherever I go, God is there. When I'm in nature, I see God in the trees. I see God in the sunset. I see God in the rabbits and the deer and the geese. When I'm around people at the gym, I see God in whoever is working out around me. When I'm at the reservoir running besides the animals that I just mentioned, I see God in the people that I meet. I met this incredibly beautiful child of God today on the reservoir, and this was such an incredible revelation that she shared with me. So this one lady that I met today, I will mention her name because I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I shared her story. Her name is Regina, and she's somebody that I know from spin class, from cycle class. And I met her, I ran into her a couple months ago on the track at the Holyoke Reservoir, where I run 4 times a week. And when I ran into her a couple months ago, she was really kind of scared, you know, just she seemed discombobulated, she seemed down, she seemed like something was going on in her life. And I asked her what was wrong, or I asked her how she, actually, I didn't ask her what was wrong. I asked her how she was, and she told me that she was going in for brain surgery. And I thought that was a really unusual answer to a very simple question. How are you? I'm going in for brain surgery. I think what happened is she was just so scared. She just blurted it out because she wanted empathy. She wanted to be heard. If I was going in for surgery, I would be petrified also, especially if it was brain surgery. So when I saw her a couple months ago, she was scared. And now today, when I saw her, it was like a completely different woman. She was vibrant. She had healthy, rich brown hair. Her face looked full and happy and glowing. And she was walking fast and smiling. And she had this beautiful, I remember the color of her shirt. It was teal and lavender. So I was just very impressed by her transformation. And I asked her how she was doing and what happened since the last time I saw her. And she told me that she had this really successful surgery with a top surgeon at a local hospital. And she felt transformed. She felt alive. She felt wonderful. And it was evident in her appearance that the surgery was successful. And then she went on to tell me how complicated a surgery it was, because this surgeon had to actually go into her brain, and there were two I don't really understand how the brain works because I'm not a doctor, but there are two connective tissues, or connected. She explained it to me like they look like wires, and they're supposed to connect, but they're not supposed to connect without something between them so they don't create a shock in the brain. And what was happening, this barrier between the two wires in her brain no longer had a block. So every time they would connect, it would cause a shock to her brain. She described it to me like you put something like a wire in a plug and it just shocks and it hurts. So all day long, she was getting these shocks to her brain because there was something malfunctioning in her brain. And what this surgeon did is he put a barrier between the two wires to take away the shocks that were happening on a regular basis in her brain. So before the surgery, she had problems moving her facial muscles. And I believe there were other problems that she was experiencing in her body. After the surgery, she was back to normal, fully functional in her face and fully functional in her body. So I was so grateful and glad that her surgery was so successful. And then she went on to tell me about a couple of experiences that she had prior to the surgery. And I think in a way, she wasn't sure if she was going to make it through the surgery because nothing is written in stone, right? So she was scared. So she maybe decided to do some things on her bucket list, just in case the surgery was not successful. So she told me about a bicycle ride that she went on in Florida. It was like a senior bicycle ride because she's 68 years old. So they have this special Olympic-like marathon for seniors. And it's really hard. She had to bicycle up a steep hill. And then she had to run 3 miles on, grass. And what she told me is she had to run 3 miles if she had her sneakers, it would have been on pavement. But what happened is she forgot her sneakers in the car. So she had no sneakers. So she ended up running 3 miles on prickly grass. It was prickly grass that hurt her feet. I know what it is because I've been on it before. She ran 3 miles on prickly grass with no sneakers. And she was one of the 2 people from Massachusetts that made it to the end of this Olympic marathon for seniors. So she proved to herself that she could do it. And I think what happens, I said to her, sometimes we build up strength, not despite our challenges, but because of our challenges. It's by overcoming our challenges that we develop the strength to go forth in a stronger fashion. And I think it was necessary for her to build up this mental strength prior to the surgery, because I think going into a surgery requires mental focus from the patient as well as superior surgery from the doctor. And this has been proven. People that believe they will live through surgery end up surviving, much more so than people who doubt. Because as A Course in Miracles says, all thought creates form on some level. Whatever, as the Bible says, whatever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. Many great spiritual teachers say the same thing. We're creating our own reality by the strength of our mind. So I believe that's what she was doing. She was building up her strength prior to her brain surgery. She went on to describe another story, which was incredibly amazing to listen to. She said that, and I don't remember exactly where she was. It could have been Florida. She was in the ocean, and she was going to swim a certain distance in the ocean. But what happened is a large wave started to approach her, like a really large, hard, strong wave started to approach her. And she realized that if she didn't do something, she would die. So what she did is, facing her own death in this incident, she surrendered to a power greater than herself. And by focusing on surviving and surrendering to a power greater than herself, what she did is she just laid down, vertically, as straight as she possibly could. And the wave actually hit her, but what she did is she just flipped up into the air. Her body flipped up into the air and it started rolling around. And then after the wave passed, she landed vertically. So it turned out to look like an acrobatic trick. But she's not an acrobat. All she was doing was trying to survive. And there was an outside person who saw this, and the outside person, without knowing that it was a real near-death experience, just saw Regina's body flipping over 3 times in the air after being hit by this wave and landing in a vertical position. And she started like applauding Regina. Oh my gosh, that was great. That was amazing. How did you learn to do that? Can you teach me to do something like that? So the lady that was watching, just applauded Regina's acrobatic insight or acrobatic skill. And Regina just laughed because it wasn't a trick. What she did is she was fighting for her life, but instead of fighting for her life, she just kind of surrendered to a higher power. She was ready to die if that was God's will. But because she put her intention on living and because she surrendered, she ended up living. And I almost think that was part of the reason that she made it through the brain surgery. Because in order to accomplish great things, not only do we need to focus on what we want, we need to surrender to God. So it's a combination of the two things. Setting our intention and surrendering to a power greater than ourselves, focusing on what we want, surrendering to a power greater than ourselves to deliver it. I call it surf. Surrendering and focusing at the same time. And as my life goes on, I ask God questions, and God answers my questions in different ways, through people I meet, through events that I experience. And this is one of the many lessons that I'm learning right now. In order to get what I want, I need to focus on what I want, and I need to surrender to God to deliver it to me in His time, not in my time, because there is no time. So that's why it's really important to be fully present right here, right now. I had this other experience at the reservoir today that also was teaching me the importance of focus. I passed these 2 ladies and I said hello to them. And one of the ladies did not turn her head, and then when I ran past her, she said, "Oh, hello, I'm trying not to turn my head too much because I keep getting kinks in my neck. Whenever I turn my head around, my neck starts to hurt. So I'm trying to keep myself straight and focused." And I said, yeah, sometimes that happens to me, when I'm driving or sitting on a plane, I keep like stretching my neck around and my neck keeps bothering me. And I believe God is telling me that I really need to focus. It's not up to me to be twisting my neck all around like a chicken. I need to focus on what I want. And again, this lady on the path that I met was giving me information from God. God is telling me that I am 57 years old, almost 58 years old, and I'm very clear about what I believe my life's purpose is: to publish my book, to become the spiritual motivational speaker that I was born to be. And I don't have another 10 years to dawdle. It's time to start manifesting my dreams. It's time to start connecting to my higher purpose. I know that when I talk here in Pal Talk about A Course in Miracles, I reaffirm that belief in me and I feel empowered. So it's just so important right here, right now in this lifetime to be clear and focused about what I want and surrender my desires to God. And by listening to these great spiritual teachers on a daily basis, it reminds me of how blessed I am to be here, and how much truth and love and divine energy is available to me at each and every moment. As I listen to the Tao Made Easy by Alan Cohen, he's talking about this energy force that's always available to us. He talks about how love is the greatest energy in the universe. He was telling this really fun story today about how him and his wife ended up adopting not one dog, not two dogs, but 5 dogs. You know, at first they were like, okay, we're just gonna sit with these dogs for a while and then, you know, send them back to their shelter when, you know, we're ready to let them go. Or, but then they fell in love with the dogs and they kept all 5 dogs. And now they can't imagine life with no dogs, because these dogs that originally started out being like a bit of a nuisance, ended up being the love of their lives. And then he goes on to talk about this man who did this experiment and went to a dog park and offered all these dog owners $100,000 for their dog, and none of the dog owners accepted the $100,000 for their dog, because we can't buy love. There's no price for love. Like, love is the most powerful energy source in the universe, and you can't put a price on that. So for me, I just need to remind myself that on a daily basis. It doesn't matter what we say. It doesn't matter how we say it. You know, my new favorite artist is Eminem. I think I mentioned him a few weeks ago here in Pal Talk. I saw that movie 8 Mile. The name of the movie is 8 Mile, and I hadn't realized it's been out for so long. I Googled it today, and it actually came out in 2002. I just saw it in 2022, 20 years after it came out. It was with Kim Basinger, played Eminem's mother, and it was just such a great movie. And before I saw that movie, I always thought that rap music was just kind of not for me because of all those swear words. You know, I didn't like all those swear words because I grew up in a family that never allowed me to use swear words because that was a sin. You know, it was a sin to use swear words. So if I ever said a swear word, I would get yelled at. And what I'm realizing is that I can use swear words if I want to. You know, I said to my husband this morning, you know, if I want to use swear words, you know, if I want to use F-U-C-K as a adjective, that's okay, because it's just going to add impact to my statements. And I've heard that some great motivational speakers will say fuck just for impact, you know, but I don't want to use it as a filler word, because if I use it as a filler word, then that kind of takes away from my knowledge of the English language. So, and again, God doesn't mind what we say. Doesn't mind sounds a little, he doesn't care. He doesn't even hear what we say. He doesn't hear what we say. The only thing that he hears is the love in our hearts. That's the only thing he hears. So whatever we say to God, you know, if we come from a place of love, he answers our prayers because we are a part of him. You know, there's so many Course in Miracles lessons that say this. You know, I think this morning in my meditation, I was chanting to myself, my mind is part of God's mind. I am very holy. You know, the other one that I use very frequently is I am not a body, I am free. for I am still as God created me. And sometimes it's difficult to remember how very loved we are. But the truth is simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple. So on that note, I will end with A Course in Miracles introduction. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is the only thing that's real is the love. And now I will say thank you so much. I love you all. And I will return the microphone to Lynn.
All right, thank you so much, Susan Michelle. And I will close this out and send you your link.